supernatural is something that isn't supposed to happen, but it does happen.
And no nation which expects to be the leader of other nations can expect to stay behind in this race for space.
What does it take to convince you that the dead do not always rest in peace?
All right, we're back. Welcome everybody. And hey, at this time, we are going to welcome. It's one of those kind of the name I just absolutely love, especially when you kick off your show. There, we've got the Paranormal Ministry, Reverend Shawn Whittington, with us, sir. How are you?
I am blessed, as you two are. I love the beginning of your show. It absolutely rocks. I absolutely love the film clips from The Haunting in there, because that happens to be probably one of my top 5 all-time old school black and white haunted house stories movies ever.
Yeah, if nobody's seen it, you got to watch that movie. It's really good, and I've always those lines. And probably one of the more the power of Christ compels you, or some of the ones that are always, and most people, unfortunately, they really know the power of Christ compels you from Austin Powers when the chair is spinning around, and he's doing that. The power of Christ compels you, he's just spit. Yeah, but a lot of people, some of those lines and like The Haunting, it's like that one. It's just about the paranormal. I'm glad that you like it too, because that's one of the things. It's just every time I see it, it's like, for me, I'm like, that is just one of those. The way they shot that film was very well done.
Every time I'm channel surfing and I see The Haunting on one of my movie channels, I think it's that one, and then it always ends up being the remake with Liam Neeson, which wasn't a bad film, but it's not the original. Definitely not the original.
No, there's just. It's something about just the way shot, black and white, the style they did it with everybody. It was just really, really cool. Just the way that it was done. Because it's just the way modern technology, they do all these sound effects, but it was just the way that back then, lightning and thunder was the piece of metal as they're shaking it behind the camera. You hear the thunder, and that was bulbs are going off to make the lightning, and it's just there's some way, especially when you have those, it just gives. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just being older, just coming from that thing. It's what I grew up in the era of old time radio, listening to Abbott Costello, the Fanta, just listening to these things, and where the whole time you're picturing it in your head, you're coming up with Perry May, you're listening to all these things, and you're imagining this stuff in your head. And so when you see some of these movies, the way they did it, memory lane is how it worked out. But this, and Mark Eddy, I believe he was the one that got us and connected. And when I was looking into, I absolutely love your guys' website, ghostbegone, .biz. You got a shot. I'll try to get that up so we can bring it. It's ghost-b-bit, gone, .biz. And before we really get too much into it, I want to give you an absolute kudos, and absolutely amazing, the fact that people can go to your site right now, they can get your book and get a signed copy, they can get this, and the proceeds from these things portion of this goes to help St. Jude's.
Absolutely.
With these kids with cancer. And my hats, literally hats off to you, sir. I mean,
God bless you for saying so. Yeah, that's if somebody hasn't done their good deed for the day yet, listen, if you get my book, it's less expensive if you buy it on Amazon, and part of the proceeds of every sale off of Amazon also goes to stjude.org and St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, Nevada. But if you buy it off the website, it comes in a house blessing kit. But word of warning on this one, and nothing to be overly afraid, but there's a picture in the book. I don't even know if I may have it here. There's a picture in the book of an entity that my wife and I captured out in an abandoned location out in the middle of the Mojave Desert.
Is it
And
going to scare Austin?
Why me?
it may. I mean, anybody with the nickname of Viking, usually they go running first.
What did I do?
Can you guys see what the bottom picture is of here?
Trying to.
It looks like a.
I'm looking over my computer here.
No.
Can
It
you
almost
see
like
the small child at the
like
bottom
an
of the stairs?
Oh, right.
Yeah, I was going to say it almost looks like hair, that I'm looking at on the side.
See the body? Standing
Yeah.
there?
Where was that at?
We don't know if that's a young boy or a young girl, but that was why we were brought to that location by the docents who were seeing that apparition all over the place. And when I came home, it took me, I was finishing up the book. Then I ended up finishing the book, and then my publisher sent me a ton of them here. And they've been sitting in the house here for a while. And when someone buys one off the website, I autograph it. And those books come directly from me, not from Amazon if you get it on the website. Well, I started having some readers reach out to me after they had received the book. And they hadn't even really seen that picture yet. And they said, I want to talk to you about this apparition I've been seeing in my home since purchasing your book. And I said, open to page yada yada and look at that. Tell me. And I just hear the phone drop. And the person picks it back up and goes, OMG. Yeah, that's what I've seen here. So isn't it mind-blowing to think that there, and we see that apparition. Actually, where I'm sitting right now is probably the most haunted area in my home. My wife walks by the office all the time and will see me here working just like I am now. She'll decide not to disturb me, and she'll go on. She'll say, okay, I can go into his bathroom, or I can go here or there and not disturb him. And then she'll walk into another room and find me and go, what are you doing here? I just saw you in the office. I'll say, no, that's not me. And then we will both see usually that apparition come out of the office, walk across down our hall, across our living room, and even our mastiffs many times will see it, and they'll follow it with their eyes, and then it goes out our back door. But we don't get, oddly enough, we don't get the usual spidey senses that we get when we're in the presence of something really malevolent. So I don't think it's anything to fear. I think some people probably have heard this story and have decided not to buy the book. But it's you're doing such a great thing if you do purchase the book. It's not that expensive, and most of the proceeds do go to St. Jude's. But I haven't had anybody knock on the door yet and throw the book back in my face because they hated it. Most everybody is really loved. I put my heart and soul in that book, and it took me many years to write it. It was painful. I had to dig deep and pull a lot of scabs off, a lot of old wounds and memories that I didn't think I'd have to revisit again. But the book is all inspired by spirit and divine intervention, and I think you'll enjoy the book. But buyer beware, the ones that come from my home may end up being the gift that keeps on giving.
Well, so I'm picturing it. I'm thinking as you're describing that story with the entity, it's like Casper the Friendly Ghost, from that, the Geico commercial where you're sitting there eating, and all of a sudden the popcorn shows up. You guys are just like, you're like, oh, it's a ghost again. So
We're
like
like that now.
Casper.
because I was going to tell you, it's like with that story, I'm like, okay, you might want to spend a little less time, exercising other people's homes and start focusing on the domain there, sir. Because it's like if the one keeps coming back, it's like, I
bless my property and my home at least every other week, once a month at the latest, all the time. But it's like I'm also by trade. Well, I'm a reverend 24/7, but my day job is I'm a veterinary technician. Huh. And here it is, doctors don't want you scrubbing in and helping them perform surgery on your personal dog. Why, I don't know. It's just a rule. And it's kind of like the same rule here. We live here, so we don't really want to rock the boat. We've had some terrible, terrible hauntings here in the past. And when that happens, we take care of it. But we don't, as long as they aren't trying to hurt us or doing something that we feel this has to stop, we don't rock the boat. There's a lot of spirits here. And like I had a friend come over there not too long ago to do some plumbing on my house, and he doesn't believe in ghosts. So right in the middle of doing all this plumbing work, he stops and starts going on and on and on about how ghosts don't exist and this and that, and he thinks, I've lost it, and what I do is a joke. And all of a sudden, he gets this pale look on his face, and I can see all the chicken skin bumps growing on his arm, and his hair is going up. He goes, "You know what? I don't feel good." And I go, "You okay? You want to go out and get some fresh air?" He goes, "Yeah, I think I will." He goes to my front door. Now the deadbolt was off, the doorknob was unlocked. He couldn't get the front door open to save his life. I'm telling you, he's yanking and yanking, and as he's yanking and yanking, he's starting to really. He's on the verge of his head exploding and having a major panic attack. So I just out loud, I say, "Everybody stop it. He's a good friend. Known him all my life. You're freaking him out. Let him go outside."
Awesome.
Soon as I said that, he turns the doorknob and the door opens right up. And he gives me this look, and he walks out. And he hasn't been over since.
Oh, yeah, he never came back.
Yeah, I heard the truck start up, and he drove off, and I had to finish the plumbing thing myself. I didn't know what I was doing.
Well, at least he left the tools.
It's just
That's nice.
I got another plumber over to do some stuff I just couldn't handle. And I thought, well, I'm going to take the magnets off my car, the Ghost Be Gone magnets, off the van and off my wife's car, so he doesn't see anything. And he's there all day, and he finally goes into my backyard, and I don't even go back there anymore. The pool's drained. I actually got thrown into the deep end of the drained pool by something back there that I couldn't see, so I don't even go back there. I hear back there the sounds of what can be only described as like a banshee. But I went back there because he had to do some work on some piping in the ground back there. So I decided to stay with him. And he's like, you don't have to hang out with me, dude. I know what I'm doing. I'm all, yeah, I know. I just thought I'd just hang out with you. Someone to talk to. I'm bored. And, you can tell me if you want me to get you a sandwich or something. He's in a catcher's position, crouched over a hole in the ground, working. And I'm behind him. And all of a sudden, I just see him stop. And he slowly looks up from the ground, and he's staring straight into some bushes. And all of a sudden, he stands up really slowly. And then he takes one quick step back. And then he watches something go through my bushes. And I'm just going, oh, I lost another plumber. Dude, did you see
Honey,
that?
we got more tools.
Did you hear that? Did you see that? I'm all, no, what are you talking about? There was somebody standing right in front of me talking to me. And he just walked off into the bushes, and I couldn't see him.
Oh my God.
I'm all,
That is awesome.
No, I didn't. I feel bad because I lied. I told him I didn't see or hear anything, which I heard and saw it all. But I said, listen, the acoustics in this neighborhood are weird. You're probably hearing a neighbor in the backyard. Something. Nothing's wrong. So he actually finished his job. He left. I put the magnets back on my cars. He had to come back because he left something there. And he came back, he's walking up my driveway, and he sees the magnets on the cars. He knocks on the door, and he's about 15 feet away from the front of my door by the time I answer it. And he goes, you. Like, yeah, he's pointing at the cars. I felt bad. I'm like, man, I had to hide the magnets or you wouldn't have finished the plumbing. So thank God you worked outside.
The plumber's working on stuff. He's staring at the bushes.
So do you
I picture Shawn like in the back going, get up. No, go. Just go. It's like, not right now, please.
I laughed. I mean, what's behind me? You're like, keep your eye on this behind me. Right there is a dream catcher that was gifted to me by a holy man at a nearby reservation here that I did some work for him. See how it's moving now? It never moves. I have no air on in here. Awesome. The vent is shut, no fans. And when I'm doing shows like this, talking about them, it'll start spinning or rotating, and that's how I know they're here and listening to the show and watching. But it's right there.
Yeah, I see it. I see it. As you're saying that, I see it right there. It just started moving.
Yeah, there you go. So they're here.
Oh, it's crazy. For the people that are listening, there's this dream catcher thing he has hanging above his head, and it's moving. So people, like I said, if you come back, you can go watch it on YouTube or something, so you can actually see the visual. But anybody that's just listening to it, man, it's pretty cool. I mean, I'm doing the same thing. I'm getting chills because as he's describing it, he literally was pointing at it, and it just started to move.
In my coffee cup right here, these are shaking. These are my wife's. Let's see what these do.
What?
Now, if anybody's an expert about dowsing rods out there and can tell me why they go nuts and then they always end up pointing back at me. What is that about?
But tell you right now.
Right now, these are doing this in my coffee cup over here, so I thought I would grab them.
Well, what I'll do is
now.
we have Maria Wheatley on next week, and so I'll ask her about because she's dousing.
My wife uses them all the time, and she says she doesn't know what that means. And it only when she uses them, they don't do that. But when I pick them up, they twirl and they end up pointing back at me all the time. And so I don't use them on. Yeah, because I don't.
Wow.
So when you have guests come over the house, do you talk to the ghost in your house like, "Hey, look, I need you to be good. I just need you to just chill out for a minute"?
Well, we are probably the oldest couple. We've been in this. We own this home, and we've been in this neighborhood for 20 years. Many people have come and gone. It's a very haunted neighborhood. The house next to us, one night burnt down, and then they since rebuilt it, moved back in. But there's been deaths in all 3 homes across the street from us, directly across the street, and even to the right of us. It's a weird neighborhood, but everybody in the neighborhood knows Sharon and I as the freaky old ghost people. So kids don't even trick or treat here. On Halloween, there'll be a knock on the door. We'll open. It's the parents. The kids are down on the sidewalk, standing there in their costume.
Oh my God!
And the parents are actually at the door getting the candy for them. And so we actually even stopped putting decorations out and celebrating trick or treat. We know the kids are freaked out to come here now. And I'll tell you a reason why. SWAT came to my house one night. My wife is working late one night. I'm saying goodbye to some friends that are going back to England, and I'm over at their home. I come home. My wife's not due home for another couple of hours. Early in the evening, it's just my Mastiffs here. I pull into the driveway, and I sense something weird. I get out. I'm about 2 steps from my car, and I get hit with all these flashlights. SWAT dudes come out of everywhere, bushes, behind trees and stuff. They got a 911 call from my home that was traced to my house. Nobody's in my house. And my dogs are in there going nuts like they're killing somebody.
Oh, wow.
And they thought, well, we think somebody has broken into your home. Your dogs are killing them. And he called 911 to save himself. So we got to get in there. I'm all, well, promise me you're not going to shoot my dogs. Let me go in first and lock them up. And then I'll let you guys in. But don't go in and kill my dogs. They promised they wouldn't. So I took my dogs into the master bedroom, locked them in there, and I opened up the blinds, turned the light on so the cops could look through the master bedroom and see my dogs were locked up. Nobody dead in that room. Then I let them in the house, and they turned that house upside down. Nobody's in the home. They traced the call many times, any types of glitch or thing wrong with the phone lines, nothing. It was definitely came from my house. But as the cops were sitting in my house talking to me about what I do and looking around at stuff, and I got a lot of weird stuff in the house, I could just tell nobody admitted it, but they just kind of said, well, have a good evening. We're going to go now. And they left. But the neighbors were all gathered around outside like, who's getting murdered in your house by your dogs? They called 911. So ever since that incident, neighbors just really kind of don't come around our house.
Well, I would say people can't do this, but show of hands. Who wants to go to his house right now and watch The Ring? This would be awesome.
Well,
phone rings. Everybody just passes out.
I want to raise my hand, but at the same time, I'm letting you know right now, if that Dreamcatcher starts spinning like a helicopter, I'm leaving. I'm going to get off the show. I'm going to go to bed.
It might. Keep an eye on it.
I know they're listening, too. If it starts spinning, I'm leaving. You better produce the show by yourself. I'm done.
So if you had to pick the craziest, hauntedest place you went to and you had to do an exorcism on it, what would it be? Like, what would be like one of your favorite places to go that gave you a lot of resistance when you actually touched it?
Well, I'll start by saying this. I wake up every morning, all kidding aside, I wake up every morning and I pray that I never have to take authority over another exorcism in my life again, because when you get to that point, it's a matter of life and death, and anything can go wrong. And I have no magic powers. I've just been gifted with a gift of discernment to be able to go into these places and allow the Holy Spirit to use me as a vessel to come through and help me in battle. but I really have no magic powers. A lot of people don't realize, and what I try to get across to them is they're the ones that truly have the power. If I can get them to believe into that, which is the truth, power of prayer, power of faith, if I can get them to believe in the fact that they have the power to draw their line in the sand, push back, fight back, get their lives back, get these things out of their lives, that's what's going to do it. But I have been in some homes where I just went in thinking I was going to deal with Aunt B or Uncle Tom hanging around, watching over the family members. Didn't want to cross over yet. They still love their home, still have a little bit of a hold on their life. They miss their family. They know they're dead. All ghosts know they're dead, but they have to hang around. And I'm going to go in there and tell them, listen, you're freaking the family out. You can, it's not my place to tell you to cross over. You should, but if you don't want to, remain, but be just an observer. Don't freak your family out. And then I walk into some of these situations and it turns out to be so much more. And sometimes you have to be Johnny on the spot and just do what you got to do. And so there's been several situations where I found myself, wow, I didn't expect to be in this situation. And then you just react. But several homes like that I just thought I was going to deal with just a run-of-the-mill haunt, and it turned out to be much more.
Yeah, that was the thing. Exorcism's always fascinated me. I've always tried. I mean, in a way, I don't really feel comfortable surfing the dark web because that's about the only way you can get the authentic ones from the Vatican, the ones that they don't let get out. Because YouTube isn't going to let those things get posted. The actual Exorcist, because if you've ever seen one, I've only seen a few like small clips that gets basically before they get pulled, but some of those are intense. What happens? And
absolutely,
yeah. And anybody Kristen Austin, I don't know if have you guys seen one of the actual exorcism films?
No, not like the Hollywood film, right?
The Hollywood film, they sensationalize a lot of stuff, like the whole.
When they actually foaming out the mouth and everything's just going wrong. Damn. Is that what you mean by, is it life or death at that point that they have to go ahead and get it gone?
Absolutely. Ghosts what works for me, and it doesn't work for everybody in my field, but what works for me is just to keep it simple. I think of things in terms of good versus evil. I believe it's all, there's ghosts, there's angels, and then there's demons, and I group them all under the same umbrella: the jinns, the Dybbuk, the non-human entities, shadow people. I believe all of those are demonic entities, and that's just a part of another one of the many ways that they try to confuse us by making us think that there's all this different stuff going on when it's not. I know what they're all about and where they're all coming from and who they serve. But I agree with you. I try not to watch that stuff. If something comes over me when I'm in the middle of dealing with that type of stuff, and I think, for lack of a better description, I must be having an outer body experience, and just something else takes over, and I'm dealing with it. Because then it's afterwards. There's many things that I forget happen, and I have people have to remind me. And if I go back and watch the film footage, which I try not to, now I'm very upset. I'm very nauseous. I feel faint. I'm not enjoying watching what I'm seeing, because there's also a lot of bad mojo that gets attached to film and hard copies and photos, and you got to be very careful rewatching that stuff. And I don't do EVPs. I don't do religious provocation. I don't believe in poking the bear or having dialogue with those entities. And I don't study about them either, because that brings bad mojo. I read the Bible as much as I can. I try to know as much about the person I serve, and that's it, and I go off of my training that I went through to become ordained. And I try to keep it simple. That works better for me, because they're always trying to put you in a crisis mode, scramble your thoughts, confuse you, make you think something's happening when something else is really happening. So you've got to be very careful, but it's a very, very frightening thing. And I didn't wake up one day and say, I want to be an exorcist. I got drug into this kicking and screaming. I kid you not.
Wow.
So but then I went back and started tracing, even my parents' history leading up to even me being conceived and all the things I've been through in my life and things my parents told me before they passed. And I thoroughly believe now in my heart of hearts that I was actually conceived to do this and be on this path that I'm on today. So, and I write about all of that in the book, um, and it is what it is. It's a calling, and I do teach a course, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare, through the Worldwide Society of Exorcists, and I get people all the time call me up and go, "Am I going to learn how to do exorcisms?" I go, "No, you're just going to get a lot of knowledge on these things, and how to protect yourself." And um,
Now, where would you say, because I'm me, even for a brief time, it's like, oh, this would be so cool. And then you see some of those videos and like Austin, Chris, if you get to see them, I mean, obviously I don't have to tell the Reverend about this, but you're talking, I mean, basically just give you the best way to describe. It would be, I'm talking here and then my voice completely changes. It's not me just doing some devilish sound. No, I mean, I have a completely different voice,
you're
different
you're not.
cadence.
It's not you anymore. You're
Yeah.
gone.
And yeah,
Yeah.
you're not listening to Craig go, it's none of things. It's like that. You're hearing like all of a sudden it'll be like this frail female voice that will be coming out of and it's jarring. And it's for that reason. It's to
No, I've
get you.
seen it.
Yeah. And when you see this, like I said, even now, it's like the ones, I mean, when you see the real ones and when you get those B-roll actors that are trying to do the little in the basement, try to pretend like they're doing an exorcism. And yeah, they're exciting, but kind of in that same person, if you have someone like somebody's listening, they're like, oh, I'd love to do it. I mean, where does somebody go to start on this path if they wanted to get into the exorcism realm, like if they actually felt that was their calling?
You have to reach out to somebody like me, take an introductory course like my course, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare, and if you still feel it's a calling and you want to take the next step, um, here's the thing: you can't just say, "Okay, are you free Thursday afternoon at 4? I'm going to take you to a person I know is possessed, and we'll do a exercise that afternoon. I'll see how you do."
I've got an opening at 4. Let's go.
so, so what happens is you just end up like, for me, I happen to have a gift of discernment where I see them and I hear them, so I don't even have to be dealing with a person who's extremely oppressed or possessed. I hear them and see them. And how we got drug into this literally was we came home from a paranormal case, and my wife came under attack. And for about 4 to 8 weeks here in the home, whatever this thing was, took up residence here, and I didn't know how to deal with it. This is years before I got on the path to become ordained. So I reached out and got introduced to my then mentor, and she took me by the hand and walked me through the steps to fight this thing out of our home. But it came at a great cost. My wife, who doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, no history of cancer in her family, she was the brunt of the attack. She was left with 3 very rare forms of cancer, a very rare form of, and now the attack is insidious. So, they don't want her spreading the word and telling the story. So it was squamous cell carcinoma of the tongue. For a year, she couldn't talk or even swallow water. I had to feed her through a feeding tube. That spread to medullary thyroid cancer, which is the rarer of the 2 thyroid cancers, and it mets and it has no cure. And it did met into lymph nodes all in her neck. And then she developed another rare form of throat cancer. And this all came on in about 3 weeks. Bam. And so she wasn't expected to live. They wanted to cut her tongue out. They put her through a ton of radiation and a bunch of surgeries and chemotherapy, which all almost killed her. And I tell people every day, yes, the doctors saved her life. But there was also divine intervention there, because, I mean, nights when I thought for sure I'm looking at her and I'm going to wake up in the morning, she's going to be dead, I would sneak out of the house knowing that my dogs will protect her. And I would go to this nearby prayer chapel around the corner. And I would crawl on my hands and knees from the front door all the way to the altar and just beg for God to spare her life. And I made some deals, and I'm still making good on those deals, because divine intervention, here she is today. She's talking, eating, drinking. The latest full body CT shows no mets of any of the diseases in her body anymore, thank God.
Wow, that's amazing.
But every time I go to these cases, she comes along. I try to do them by myself, which isn't advisable. I don't bring a team with me because I'm scared for my team members because I know what I'm up against. But when I get there, whether she's with me or not, they start. It starts like a bumblebee in the air, which turns into actual clear thought and language, like someone's standing next to me talking, and they're like gangsters. They're paranormal gangsters. They go after what you love, and they, so a matter of factly, will just tell me, too bad Sharon's not with you. We would have loved to have seen her. We'll send someone to see her. If you don't leave this case right now, we will finish the job on Sharon that we started. Things like that. And that's very terrifying because they talk to you it's horrifyingly a matter of fact the way they speak to me, and it's always threatening the wife. So after having gone through what I went through with her, it's amazing. I'd finish any case, but I realize that's exactly what they want. So I just I trust in the Lord, and I know my wife's a minister too. She's a Stephen minister through the Lutheran faith, so she's already the recipient of divine intervention. I know that she's going to be okay, so I stay and I try and take care of business. But the difference between a demonic case and a haunting is what your wonderful co-host said. It's life and death. It's a haunting is a haunting. The demonic, they're out to take your life and anybody else's life that's close to you and around you and involved in that case. Everybody's a danger.
Wow. I'm a huge movie buff, and I'm one of the things like I really like with your story and stuff. It's almost Constantine. Like I don't know if you like with Keanu Reeves. Have you seen that one?
You know what? I don't watch very many of those movies. A very good friend of mine recommended I watch it, and I know that it's just a movie, but I liked it. I did enjoy that movie.
Because I've always been fascinated, and it's kind of like that stuff, the Papa Midnight. You've got Papa Midnight, and you have, his club is like the neutral zone for both, the good, both sides to kind of meet, have a free for, an open area where they can, mingle type thing. And I wondered, just like through your thing, do you feel that there is in some ways, because that's always been the thing, they're not supposed to interfere directly in the affairs of humanity. There's always been that saying, there's always the good and evil. They war, and occasionally it bleeds over into the physical realm. Do you feel like there is like this, almost like this armitage, like you cannot directly intervene, but you can influence?
Angels help if you ask. They don't just intervene on their own behalf what they think they should do, because we've all been given free will by God. Demons are completely different. They're the fallen angels. They intervene and try and mess you up any chance they get. They're always around. You got to be careful what you say and just throw out there into the cosmos for things to hear. 99.9% of the people that come to me for help have either knowingly or unknowingly done something to give one of these things the feeling that it's been given permission to attach. And once they attach, man, it's whatever they want to do. And that's the scary thing about it. Having said that, though, thank God there are some rules. And there's no experts. Nobody has all the answers. And I think some of the answers we think we have may not be right anyhow. And the four of us will be having a special Four Beards podcast from heaven one day. And we'll be laughing about all the things we know then that we don't know now. But they do play by some rules. And once you realize what those rules are, and they change from case to case. Once you realize what those rules are on that case, like maybe getting to the bottom of why they're there and why they felt they had been given permission. And if you can very rarely go back to where the deed was done. But like I said, if I show up in a state of grace, and I can do some simple things like just baptizing a person and getting that person to give me confession and receive the body of Christ and drink some of Christ's blood there and allow me to wash their feet in holy water and change their life around. Learn some prayers. So many people don't even know any prayers. And if you don't, that's okay. Pray to the great father or the great mother. Most of my indigenous friends agree we probably all pray to the same God, and they call it the great father or the great mother. If you believe in evil, and it's funny how most people do, but they don't believe in God. If you believe in true evil, there has to be something opposite of that, a greater, higher vibrational power of love and light that is watching over us. And attach any name to it you want, but talk to it. Make the sign of the cross and say, "Oh, great Father, this is your child so-and-so, Aunt Betty here. I am begging you to intervene in my life right now. I need you, and I give my life over to you." But you got to be ready to change your life if you're under attack. Because if you do it for a little bit and you get the help you need, and then you don't change, and you allow these things to come back into your life, they come back much stronger and usually bring friends. And then usually it's virtually impossible to get them out of your life.
So what do you think brings on these demonic possessions? Like, what do you think they come from? Is it part of a black magic, or is it part of, or they just latch on and they don't go nowhere?
I think it's everything that you said. I agree with everything you said. I believe a lot of people conjure them and don't realize, they've done the wrong thing, been at the wrong place, said and did the wrong thing. I'm not a big fan of Ouija boards. They've opened a portal somewhere and allowed these things to enter their life. A lot of and I'm going to get hate mail for this, but a lot of my clients are prostitutes, strippers, people with real bad drug addictions. And then there's a lot of victims too, like victims of incest. And horrific things that have happened to them that have made them turn their back on God. And all these types of things invite those entities, which are everywhere, to latch on to you. And so you've got to be very, very careful.
Now, Julie just asked kind of a similar question what Chris just did. Do you counteract black magic and or curses, which bring about these entities? I mean,
that's very tough. I have friends from all walks of life, all religious belief systems. I don't judge. I have a lot of friends who are witches. And they tell me, like, some witches take one path and it's all love and light. And some witches take a different path. I can be, as much as I love God, know that God is going to take care of me and has my back. And he's proven that time and time again. I'm not going to go out and piss a witch off. So I just try and stay within my, my safe zone and do what I do and what I'm trained to do. But you just have to be very, very, very careful. And that's the only advice I can really give people. If they don't know any better, why get into the occult? There's so many other positive things you can do with your life. And I do get my fair share. I get a lot of paranormal teams come to me for help because they just got into this because it seemed like a cool hobby to do. And they went somewhere and they said the wrong thing and they did the wrong thing. And now that one or more members of the team have attachments and now their life's not so fun anymore and then they need help. So just got to be careful. Yeah, I know you guys all got big hearts. You guys are all, I can tell you're all beautiful souls. You don't have to worry about it, but just be good, because the sad thing is they usually won't. You invite them in, they'll usually tear up everybody around you that you love before they come for you. And that's part of the torture too, to allow you to watch them torture everyone around you before they make you
this kind of one of the things that you're talking about, that we've mentioned it a couple times, specifically I've mentioned it. You have a counterpart that's there in Vegas. I don't really, I don't blast him by name, and he's part of the TV show. And I've always said, I don't like that method, because when you come in and say, because I've always been the believer that I walk into a haunted place, I'm not going to walk in all of a sudden like, oh my God, I'm possessed. I have a feeling you have to at some point open yourself up and allow these things to, attach to you in some way. And I think when you see a lot of these paranormal investigators, they've watched that TV show and they go into it with I want you to take my energy. I want you to do this to me. I want you to take this bottle and hit Chris with it. I want you to throw this at Austin. I want you to do these things so we can get these on camera. And then they freak out that stuff happens to them.
Aaron, go sleep in the morgue. We're going to go to
yes.
Carl Jr. down the street. Call us on the radio if you need us. Yeah.
You get the stuff like that. And I'm like, what do you think is going to happen when you've invited somebody in and you say, those exact words that you use, take my energy, is the same thing as saying, hey, I'm an open door. Come on in. You're open. I don't know how else to say. I think more people should take your method like it. You need to prepare. You need to realize these are open flames. These are things that are going to burn you if you don't know what you're doing. You can't just walk into a room and just play with something that you don't know how to handle. You need to do something. Prepare yourself for this activity.
Absolutely. Well said.
And so it's kind of cool to hear the different versions, because and that's where I really was looking forward to talking to you. I've watched some of your shows, and I like the approach to where the preparation. It's just like anything. You don't just, you don't go on a trip and just say, well, hey, hopefully I'll find some clothes and some food on the way. You prepare.
Absolutely.
This is the most haunted house where the dream catcher floats above his head. I'm just going to walk in and use me.
I haven't been watching it. Is it what's it doing now? Is it okay?
It hasn't moved. It hasn't moved a lot, but occasionally I'll watch over there and I'll see this little like that. I'm like, so I'm trying to focus on you and not be sitting here the whole show like watching the dream catcher.
Actually, you can watch this too, right? Hanging right there on the upper door stop is an old school Celtic wind chimes, and sometimes the door's locked when I'm on air. You'll hear the chimes going. And sometimes people just think it's my doorbell or something, and I don't say anything, but I know, and then I just don't say anything during the show. But if you hear the chimes,
we know what's going on.
Yeah.
This is, of course, it takes a lot to do this, but you've got something right here. It's you name it, the dream catcher cam or the wind chime cam, and you actually just have a camera and you just leave it on, so where it's streaming like 24/7 in your room. So even when you're not there, people like me could just be sitting here.
Honest with you, it's my home and I have to sleep here, even though I do what I do, and you think I'm probably so brave. It would scare me, I think, to see some of the things that might go on here behind my back, because I live here, and it's like dogs. I'm a big believer in animal spirits, and my wife moved in here with 3 mastiffs who have all since passed on and went to heaven, and we purchased 2 more, and they are here with us now. But we brought all their ashes home, and I have a little, like shrine built to them in one of the other rooms where I have all the candles burning that people call me, want a candle lit and a prayer offered up for them and stuff. And I know for a fact all their spirits are here. We had a mastiff named Henry who he would follow my wife everywhere. And his favorite thing to do was to quietly, I don't know how he did it at 200 pounds, but quietly sneak into the bathroom when she's getting ready for work in the morning. And when she's putting her makeup on in the mirror, he would jam his nose in her rear end and just send her launching. And that still happens to her today. And she'll turn around and there's nobody there. But my dogs will both sit up on the bed sometimes and look, and at nothing in the middle of the room, and their tails will wag, and they'll do that little, like they want to play with something, and then they'll watch something leave, and then they'll lay back down. I'm convinced several of my former pets that I've owned are still here. And I was at, I talked about the Highland Games earlier, and before we went live, I was at a Highland game one time, and nobody there knew who I was. And a woman that I didn't know came up to me and said, I'm not a weirdo, but do you mind if I have a moment of your time? And I'm all, sure, what's up? She goes, you don't know me, I don't know you. I'm a psychic medium, and I don't know if you go for all that. And I almost started laughing, but I didn't say anything. I'm all, oh, really? Tell me more. She goes, I never have ever seen anybody like this before. I'm all like, what? You are walking around with the hugest group of spirit animals following you around, and they're all dogs. And so I'm telling you guys
Wow.
that made my day. And it's like, I think it was Will Rogers that made the quote. I'm not sure, but there's a famous quote out there that if dogs aren't in heaven, then I want to go where they're at, because as far back as I can remember, my youngest memories, all my life, I have never not had a dog or two or three all my life. Big dog fan. I'm in the animal care industry as a day job. So that was just probably just one of the most wonderful things anybody could ever say to me. So I'm convinced some of the spirits here are animal.
I got a good question. I get a lot of conflicting stories with some pastors this, some pastors that, say lighting candles is summons the wrong thing. But I hear you say I light candles for prayers going up. So in your world, as being ordained, some pastors say no, don't light candles. So what is your take on lighting a candle for the higher being, God, to send a prayer up?
That's a great question. And like I said, I have good friends of clergy, in the clergy of all many different religious belief systems, and we all enjoy talking to one another and telling each other about our different religious belief systems and the different types of quirky things we do that have been passed down for generations, thousands of years. My religious belief system, it's lighting a candle keeps that person's memory um, alive, keeps their memory alive. You're offering a prayer of intention up for them. You're lighting the candle. It's the inextinguishable light in the darkness, representing that person's soul. And usually when I light a candle for a person and offer up a prayer for them, that candle stay. I have a room where they're all in there, many of them burning at one time. That candle will burn until it burns out. And if the person gets back to me to have me light another one for them, I will. But it's all in. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's all in the intention that you
Okay.
put behind it. And there's a lot of power in having true faith and believing in your intention and what you put behind it. And words are very powerful. So that's why you have to be very careful with them. Words can bring death. They can also bring life. And they can also bring things to you and bring things down on you. So you just have to be very careful. But if you have true faith and your intention is total love and light behind what it is you're doing, that's the part that you're trying to accomplish there. Just that inextinguishable light in the darkness. That's their soul, representing their soul still the flame of their soul still going on, and you're
That's
offering
awesome.
it up to God to still see them and not forget them.
Yeah, I'm not trusted with fire, so
That was a great
I have to
great
do
answer.
I have to do
You know,
see I have an automatic right
just the
back
other
there
day,
to
me
where
and my wife had to go to the doctor together. We have one car, so
see.
I work night, she works day. She comes home from the day shift, tosses me the car keys, I go to work. So luckily enough, there's already somebody here. But I had a doctor appointment. She decided to go with me. Here I am. Here I am in the room 30 minutes before we leave, blowing out all the candles. And then I come home and I got to relight them all again. But it's funny that you say that because, and I have my Christmas tree up, fully lit.
Oh yeah.
All year round. Every day in my line of work has to be Christmas. So I got to remember to turn the Christmas lights off whenever we both go out together. And yeah.
And my version of it will be like these, I'll say it's like, here, I'll do a candle for you. I'll turn it on. Yeah.
I have had so many people. I've had people send me boxes of those. So we don't want your house to burn down, Rev. And they're beautiful. They look like tiny votive candles
That's
that
awesome.
have a little tiny battery and then the switch and the flame,
Well,
the flame lights and jiggles a little bit. I love those, but I
these
just
ones,
got so used to.
I don't know if you can see on the camera, you see how that's moving? the flame.
Oh, there we go. Where?
Yeah, it actually
yeah.
has something in there that it moves on its own. So
That's
with the light,
cool.
so it looks like a candle, and it actually lit. So this is what I'm trusted with. So I have 3 of these that they have the feel of a candle, but there's nothing.
He knocks down podcast mics. We'd hate for him to knock down the candle on the show,
Oh.
and he's like,
I'm surprised nobody's commented that this was the 4 Beards episode tonight.
I know I'm surprised, but it is. Yeah, it's just
mine was. I go through these phases where one day I'll say, I'm not touching my face for 8 months, and then about and I do that when it's already pretty full, and then about 2 months after that, I'll catch a good look at myself in the mirror, and I'll go, dude, you're looking a bit squatchy. And so I'll trim it a little bit, but before I had a chance to trim it, I had to go out. I said, when I get home, I'm trimming it tonight. I'm going to be on the 3 Beards. I got to trim mine up. And so I go to the store, and there's this little kid standing next to me, and he's just staring at me. And I'm thinking, well, he can see ghosts, and I might have a hitchhiker with me. So I look down at the kid. I go, hi. He goes, Mister, were you in the Civil War?
Oh, damn. That's awesome. Look at that face.
So I said, not the last one. I'll be in the next one.
oh my god.
So I thought when that happened, I thought I'm definitely going to go home and trim it when trim it before.
Oh,
That was yesterday, so I said I'm definitely going to go home and
No,
trim it before the 3 Beards episode.
yeah, this is about what the wife doesn't like it much longer than this one. So so it's like I always say,
I'm not ashamed to say I color my hair. I'm 61, guys. I'm on camera a lot, and I go and work cases a lot. I'm struggling with it. I don't think I ever had a midlife crisis period in my life, and I feel great. But I'm not ready. I mean, I'm telling you guys, if I didn't color my hair and my beard, I would definitely look like Santa Claus. No joke. And it's not even an attractive white. It's like the funky old man gray. And so I just don't dig it. Everybody says, who cares? I don't know. I can't get over that. And so I still do the coloring thing, but maybe one day.
Me and my eldest Doodle are starting to do the same thing. We're both starting to gray in our muzzle up here.
Yeah, the wife. I have a whole shelf full of. One side is the beard. What is it? I even forget that I've used it for years. I can't even remember the name of it. Just for Men, beard and mustache color. And then the other side, I have just for men, the Control GX. You just shampoo, and all it does is hit the gray. Yeah. Then, like once every couple of months, she gets me the Just for Men shampoo in color, which is more intense, and you've got to wear the gloves and.
I've always wondered that. It's like, how does this hair dye know only to attack the gray hair? It says, just for the gray hairs. It's like, what, you just put it on there and they're like, nope, I can't go on that hair.
Then every once in a while I'll be getting ready to take a shower or something and go, oh, I forgot something in the kitchen. And I'll have to run in there and forget that I'm naked. And the wife will go, you could probably use a little bit of that Control GX on other parts too.
Damn. That face again. That needs to be a t-shirt.
That's my life.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, you said you do a lot of exorcisms, and then you also do you go into a room where the person like said, hey, don't disturb them, I know you want to see them and stuff. Do people that just passed away ever talk to you and ask the question like, why me? Why did I just die? Why isn't my time?
Oh my gosh. Not so much that, but a lot of spirits are just really, really sad that they're in the spirit realm now, and some of them go through that period where they're debating if they're going to stay around and just kind of watch things. Sometimes staying around can be very painful, and in that, even though they're in the spirit realm, that little transitional period can still be painful. I don't know how, because they don't have a body any longer. But it's weird. My friend caught an EVP the other night that he asked, what does it feel like when you appear to us or you speak and we can hear you? And he said it burns. That was a crazy EVP. Wow. But sometimes I think these people are still in pain, and there's a theory that the ghost of a person hangs around too long, there's a period where now are stuck here because there was a period of time where now they don't see the light any longer. I don't know. I can't prove that's the case. But then as time goes on, their sadness develops its own. Their loneliness and sadness develops its own malevolence, and they can become like a malevolent entity when they didn't start out that way. So that's why I always tell spirits, it's on you. I'm not your god, but you now are in the spirit world, and you really need to go, ask for your guardian angels to come and escort you on to where you need to be, wherever that is. If you don't see a light, call out to your guardian angels or family members of yours that have crossed over before you to come and be with you and take you where you need to go if you're lost. But don't be stuck here, because there's nothing for you here in the physical realm, the physical world, the world of emotion, desires. There's nothing for you here anymore. So just sadness, but not really. They know why. They were they died of an illness, or they died of a car accident, or maybe they passed in their sleep. There might be some confusion there. Sometimes people pass in their sleep, or gunshot victims. Born and raised in Southern California, I've ran into spirits that were gang members died during a drive-by, who one day they're sitting on the porch smoking some reefer, and next thing you know, they're walking up and down the street talking to their friends, but nobody hears them and sees them. They eventually figure it out. I'm dead. But because they see their whole family weeping for them, they see pictures of themselves, in the living room wall. But they're young. Usually, the young spirits, I say young children easily pass over. Usually, the angels are right there for them, and they help them. But it's like that, early teens, teenager type, a lot of drug, kids that die of drug overdoses. There's a period of confusion. They know why, but they can just, they need that reassurance that there's no judgment on the other side. Everything's going to be okay. You have passed over. I do, when I confront spirits like that. It can be very heartbreaking. I'm one of those people that, just like a sponge, I'll absorb what they're feeling, and sometimes I can't help them because I'm just too overwhelmed with what they're feeling. And I just do a lot of praying for guardian angels to come down to that location and retrieve that spirit retrieval, get a hold of that spirit and appear to them however you feel you need to appear to them. Like my guardian angel, I've seen her twice, saved my life twice. I've heard her once, and that also saved my life. And she appears to me, why I don't know, as a very young Susan Sarandon, like young Susan Sarandon from the original Rocky Horror Picture Show. So whenever I'm channel surfing and I come across a movie with her on, like last night, stumbled on Thelma and Louise, forgot that she was in that movie. She's much older, but Sharon knows all about it. Goes, oh, there's your angel. And I have to watch the movie because it just fascinates me that I'm looking at this woman who looks just like this girl that appears to me twice in my life.
That's cool.
It was a life and death situation all three times. But they appear to you, I think, how they know when you really need them, that you'll accept that. I don't know if you were really in a life and death situation, let's think of somebody that would appear to you that you definitely wouldn't want to see. It might go different.
That's a good point. Kind of like that same thing with the guardian angel. I wonder, because there's a phenomenon, I don't remember the name of it. Sorry, but it's that one. I've had it several times. I clearly hear my name yelled. I will clearly hear Craig, and it's in my voice.
When do you hear that?
There's not like something like, oh my God, like I almost did something. It's just, I will hear it.
See?
And I will, and it's one of those, I don't know if other people have encountered this, like maybe that's that guardian angel, that's that spirit coming down in trying to get your attention. But I don't know if anybody else has encountered that, you guys. I don't know if you guys have or not.
I have no doubt that that's what's happening for you. And so listen to that voice. Something's trying to get your attention and get you to be aware of what's happening around you, because something's about to go down. So that's a wonderful. Somebody on your spirit team, your individual spirit team, is chosen. That's the way to reach out to you, and so far it's worked. So when that happens to you, listen to that voice.
I'm surprised they haven't quit on me. There's
you and me both, brother.
Oh my God, I could tell some. If we don't have time for me to tell all the stories, I'll just tell. There's a couple. When I was real little, Mom, we were lived out in the country in Oregon, and Mom was doing something, and she looked at. I was gone. I went into a bullpen. So I'm wandering inside the fence. I climbed through the fence, and I'm in there. So here's this bull charging at me, and she said, as she's freaking out, I fell into a hole.
Wow.
And and the bull's looking all over, can't find me, and then it takes off, and she's able to get me. But yeah, she told me the story. I've fallen into a hole, and I go through these things. I drank lamp oil. I fell into a bush and had puncture holes everywhere. I mean, I was in the emergency room all the time, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure my guardian angel is like, seriously, guys, what did I do? Why did I get this job? Why? What did I do?
What'll happen when you finally pass over? Your guardian angel will pass the torch to you and go, now watch this guy for eternity.
Yeah. God, I'm an angel. I'm not supposed to be in hell. You put me in hell.
Many people, you're not, how many times at funerals do you hear, we're going to miss him, but another angel got his wings. Well, they don't really angels have their wings. We don't get them, but I do believe some people get the opportunity to hang around and be a spirit guide, per se, to a loved one, or maybe even someone close to the family, or maybe someone that they didn't know in life. But I believe that's a very real possibility too. So that might be in your future in the afterlife.
Yeah, my penance to to repay all the stuff that was done for me. Yeah, we had a question here have you had contact with former U.S. presidents?
I personally have not. Although, when I came home after the kid made the comment about me being in the Civil War, I thought, it's looking a little Robert E-ish. And so tonight, I think I went with more the Ulysses.
Great. There you go. Because she even said that earlier, and I was going to get to that too. It's like that maybe you had a past life in the Civil War, and with kids having that ability to see, maybe.
Oh, that's a great analogy. That's a wonderful thing to say. Who knows? She might be onto something, or whoever, if it's a he that asked that.
No, it's a she. Yeah.
That's wonderful. I had never thought about that. Huh. Very interesting.
I was recently told a while back, I was like, I couldn't figure out what I had going on. I'm like, I'm really nice to old people. I'm really nice, but I just don't take too much foolishness. They were like, yeah, I think you were a nun in your past life. I'm like, oh, okay.
You never know, man. I have a wonderful feminine side. I could have been, a female in many past lives, along with a male in many past lives. I think when your soul is being, what's a good word for it? Recycled, let's say. I don't think gender's a question or a priority there. I think it's just roll the dice, and where your soul ends up, it ends up. Somebody said, every 100 years, once you pass, you are in the spirit realm for at least 100 years before you're given an option. If you want to take another shot at whatever this is that we're doing here, or if you just want to remain in the spirit world. And I love the fact that none of us really know. I think that's probably where I get my passion for investigating the paranormal, is the whole unknown of it,
That's, and was kind of, as you were talking about, like the spirits that they're there. We've as we started this podcast, it was one of the recurring things that we talked about. And I've always been the big thing, and especially, you'd have a good perspective on this. You've got the little old lady that serves every day for her community, does everything, and she passes away. You have the serial killer that right before he's killed, goes, God, I want to give you, taking, he repents, he goes through the process. And with saying there has to be some penance for the fact you can't have these two individuals in the same location. Because one, for me, I've wondered if part of this is the purgatory, that some of these things, because you get these, malevolent ones, just these evil, that are there, that if this isn't that individual lashing out, anger, and that's why they're so violent in some of these attacks, is they're lashing out at the fact that, they're still having to pay a price for their actions in that previous time.
That's why I believe that evil is evil, good is good. And since we're all created in God's image, even some people that have done some pretty bad things when they were alive, I think it's just such a relief of all of that physical and psychological pain, and so much love and light and freedom from all of that when you pass, that I think you in the spirit world, you look at things so much different. They always say, the person who's pissed off in life and mean in life, he's the same way in the spirit world. So he's probably haunting that home, and you don't want to mess with him. I don't really buy into that. Uh, I think there's spirits there that kind of help you in the transition from this world to the next when you pass. And I do agree with you 100%. If there's a reason for you to do some penance, and if there is a purgatory, and I do believe in a form of purgatory, if you need that, I believe you do spend some time there before ascending onto the upper levels.
So, yeah, well, no, I appreciate that, because that's just always been one of the things it's really questioned me. It's like, how can somebody who's lived such horrible life, suddenly just everything's what slate's completely, it's like, then what's the point of living a virtuous life during this thing, if we could just play the odds game that I'm going to have a chance to at the very end repent, and and actually try to make amends at the very end. It's like, why not just live in the moment at that point? But if there is it makes more of a sense that as you go through this, that how you live day to day has just has a great importance to it.
Well, you guys remember the movie Ghost?
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember when normal good people passed on, they saw the light, and when the really evil people crossed over, those really ugly, growly black shadows came for them and drug them off to God knows where?
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's a lot like that. That's why I believe deathbed confessions and getting, confessing and getting communion and having someone, forgive you of all your sins and giving yourself up to God at the moment of death is very important too, because I do believe, I think there's something to that saying, may you be in heaven 5 minutes before the devil knows you're gone. I think if you've been a bad enough person in life, these things are following you around and they're waiting for you. And I've been on cases where there's been the demonic has been present, and there have been human spirits there too that weren't the nicest in life, and they've become stuck at this place, and now they appear to be malevolent because now they're sort of trapped there and held there by the demonic, and they do a lot of the demonic's bidding, and when it comes to the haunting that goes on there. So just, guys, just be a good person in life, so you don't have to worry about it. But
it's funny you just mentioned that movie Ghost too, because when I was in college, I had a pottery class, and the rule is there. It said no. It said he had two rules: no disco and no recreating Ghost. This is two rules.
Who's the band that played that song?
Yeah, it's oh, come on. Yeah, I'll look it up here. I'll find out real quick. But yeah,
you never played that song,
Yeah, oh yeah, no, I'll find it here. But yeah, here we go. Ghost theme song. There we go. I'm doing this live. Let's see. Come on, where is it at? Oh, Righteous Brothers, Unchained Medley.
Oh, boom! And it's the Righteous Brothers also the ones that the song is sung by Tom Cruise and all his buddies in Top Gun in the bar when he's singing. They're all singing to that girl at the bar.
Yeah, I think so.
Righteous Brothers song.
Yep. Yeah, that's you've lost that loving feeling.
There you go.
Yep. No, that was just that was first one of the things that popped in my head when you said that. It's just like, that movie Ghost. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. That was one of the things he drilled home. It's like, I don't want to see any of that. You'll be out of my class like that.
That's funny.
Oh my God, man, Shawn, I really appreciate you coming on and spending time, with the thing.
Guys, I've looked forward to this ever since you guys reached out to me. And I just got to figure out a time when I can get you guys on one of my 2 shows. I'd love to have all 3 of you on at the same time. I don't know if both producers I work with are capable of doing that. I'll have to talk to them about that. But I looked forward to this since you guys reached out to me, and I wouldn't have missed it for the world. This was a lot of fun for sure.
Oh yeah, if you're up for it, I mean, we'd love to have you back on another time.
Yeah, guys, anytime you want me, because really, my wife and I'm 61, she's 76. We're at the high risk. We both have had our fair share of underlying health issues. So last St. Patrick's Day, we made a heartbreaking decision. For 1 year, we would not physically go out and work cases. I do a ton of counseling on the phone and refer a lot of cases out, but we thought it would be safer for not only us, but our clients if we didn't go out. And I think we're going to have to address that this St. Patrick's Day, and we may have to extend that out. So I'm always here. I never sleep. I go to work only 3 nights a week for a few hours, late in the afternoons, early evening. Otherwise, I'm right here sitting where I'm at, working. I got the online classes, trying to write another book. I got a lot of paranormal cases that I'm dealing with, and then I'm also a certified spiritual advisor. So I've got clients who reach out to me for that service. And then I've got the 2 shows a week that I work on, and that's hard to do. I don't know how guys do a show every night. I don't know how they do that.
I know.
I can barely put 2 together in 1 week with everything going on. So I'm always here. To me, when I'm on shows like this, it's not even like doing a show. It's like we're all sitting in one of your living rooms, and we're all back an adult beverage or 2, just having a good time chatting. And that's what I enjoy. So reach out to me anytime.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm glad you said that, because that's what, that's one of the things that we really want is I always tell people, it's like, you come on the show, trust us, there's nothing formal. We're not, there's no script. There's no thing. You got to make sure you hit all these talking points.
Somebody else, and it might've been, Mark Eddy, I'm not sure. Somebody that knows you guys had mentioned that. So I started panicking. I'm like, well, could the show be clothing optional? I'm not sure. No,
he always threatens.
I can't stand up right now, or it would be a completely different show. But I figured I'd throw on at least a collar, and we're good there.
You're doing that thing. It's like everybody wonders if the judge behind the desk up there is actually wearing pants, or if they're just wearing a robe.
Like, that's not a holy water sprinkler. Huh?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, that's just it. Like I said, we want people to have fun, because that's what I said. When we set out on this, like I told the guys, I go, I want to have actual conversations with people. And I mean, we would start out, we're just going to be 3 jokers just talking on camera just about what random stuff. And then we kind of we hit on an interview, and like, we actually enjoy this. And this is brought into this thing. And if we hadn't done this, the 3 of us just decided to do this, I mean, we wouldn't have had the opportunity to talk to somebody like yourself and actually have these amazing conversations. You and I have so much in common. It's scary. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm telling you, I don't know what I'm doing as far as my Monday show and my Friday show. I don't have a clue. My wife was the one that suggested, why don't you do a radio show? This was 5 years ago, because I was really depressed one night at dinner. She goes, what's your problem? And I go, I think of all these people that I admire and that I follow in the paranormal community that I'm never going to get a chance to meet and talk to, because I can't afford to just quit my job, travel around the country, going to all these paracons and paranormal conventions and conferences. I'm never going to get a chance to meet them. And the next thing she said, well, why don't you do a radio show? Then you can invite them all on as guests and get to talk to them and meet them then. And so I reached out to my first producer, said, is my wife crazy, or do you think I could pull off a radio show?
and she said, "Meet me for a cup of coffee." And I thought she was going to let me down nicely, and she showed up with a contract, and I never looked back. But I still have no clue what I'm doing for either show, and I don't. But it's addictive. It's fun. I really like doing it. And you're right. I would have never gotten a chance to meet like you three or any of the countless other people that I've met that I've really enjoyed meeting over the years if I had done that. So yeah, you guys have a great show. I love the beginning. Keep doing what you guys are doing. It's a very unique podcast, and
I appreciate you do us a great honor, lumping us in with everybody else. I was gonna show you this to everybody. Go over here real quick. Follow Reverend Shawn Whittington's Paranormal Ministry. At Paraministry. Follow him. Watch his show. Support him. Buy that book, please, because not only are you supporting them, you're also supporting St. Jude's. There's families. Me personally, we have friends. Whose son, thank God, is going a little over 5 years remission.
Wow.
How young? Cancer. So it's these charities, because if nobody's gone through there, you don't understand the gut wrench thing that goes to these families that, they get this news that, hey, your beloved kid, yeah, they're probably going to die. And just how do you wake up the next morning and like, okay, where do we go from here? It's like, okay, we got to fight. But places like Dornbecker, St. Jude's, all these places, do such an amazing thing for these kids.
Absolutely.
And for you to be willing to give of yourself so much as, to donate, this stuff to them off this thing is amazing. Like I said earlier in the show, hats off to you. That is an amazing thing that you're doing.
God bless you for saying that. And I'll be honest with you. It's because it touches home. Growing up, I had friends, girls and guys who had cancer. And then I went through the situation with my wife. And it is very scary. A lot of people write a book and then they wonder, a lot of people write a book, think you're going to make a lot of money. You don't make a lot of money off of books. So what I did was I actually belong to St. Jude's, and regardless of whether I sell a book or not, or if I don't sell another copy of my book monthly, I'm set up to give them money. But then in addition to that, when I do get something in from when my publisher sends me my proceeds from Amazon, or my wife shows me what we've made on the book, if we've made anything over a month off of the website, then I take a portion of that too. So they get money from me all the time, because it is, we're only here. For us, life's like that. And can you imagine, being a young kid and not being able to live the life that like the four of us have? Even if it all ended for us right now, to think about a life ending for a child when they're very young, it's just that's just brutal. It's beyond brutal. I can't even adequately put it into terms, vocalize how brutal that is. And you're right, that for the parents and everybody involved. And like I said, when my wife was going through that, man, I was like, I can tell people, not only was I almost dragged to hell once during working a demonic case, but I was drugged through hell when I was trying to fight for my wife's life during her battle with cancer. It's an ugly, ugly thing. And so thank you for giving that a shout out.
Oh yeah. And the way you brought it up, that's the way it sums it up is, the thing is you have, picture, young kid, 4 or 5, or younger, they can't, they're, how do you tell somebody that young, hey, just keep fighting? They're exhausted.
And isn't it funny how much stronger they are than we are? They still find a way to smile when they're not in excruciating pain. They still find a way to be so. They give their parents strength in many ways by just their attitude and their approach towards it, when it would be different for any of us.
Exactly. No, that's that is the key. And once everybody ghost-b-gone.biz, go to their website. He's got the book there with the house blessing kit. You get it's a signed copy, which is awesome. So that everybody gets it. Just go there.
Be nice to the ghost. If a ghost comes with your copy, be nice to her or him.
Yep. Tell him it's like, hey, the Reverend misses you. You need to go back. Yeah,
Go back home.
Oh, that's awesome.
Find your way home, please.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. So, but Reverend, man, Shawn, I appreciate it again. Just think it's like I look forward to the next time, and yeah, if it works out where we can come on your program as well, then absolutely, because this is a blast.
I will work it out. I had known nothing about. I mean, my Friday show is on StreamYard, and I have a producer for that because that's how computer illiterate I am. And then my Monday night show on radio, of course, I've got a network behind me there, and they do all the work. I just sit down, log on when it's time for me to go live. But I know nothing about computer. So if I can work it out and it's cool with them to get you guys on, we'll just have like a 4 Beards episode of the Paranormal Ministry one Friday, or get you guys on my Monday night show, Vegas Supernatural. And we'll just, I want to pick your guys' brains and find out about, you all must have very interesting reasons why you're all gone on this paranormal path. And I want to hear everybody's story.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be cool. That I said. So that's, well, hey, we just had, then Julianne, once there, do it. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I'm really do it.
And well, next time we'll all get together ahead of time before the broadcast and decide if we want to go, Ghostbuster apparel or clothing optional apparel. However we want to do it. If it's
we get in shape first. We get in shape before I go clothing optional.
Then we got blessings to you.
There's
and
no
your
blow
wife
up
and your
balls
daughters.
on screen. That's usually the show tanks from there on.
No. It just depends, who knows that we this whole time we think it's not, maybe that'll be our highest rated episode ever, when I'll just
never know, man.
It'd be like that show, The Full Monty, here we all about a bunch of guys with dad bods, and all of a sudden it's the highest rated thing. We're like, wow, this actually worked.
God.
Yeah.
So, all right, sir. Well, have a great
man.
night. Appreciate it. And
God bless you all, and God bless all your listeners and fans and followers. Love you guys.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, everybody, go check us out on social medias. Once again, like I said, go to goes-b.gone, .biz. Support them, help them out. Buy his book. Go for us, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Like, follow, share it. Carrie, thank you very much. Appreciate you watching. Everybody, really appreciate you watching. Nanny Cakes, go to Nanny Cakes 407 on Facebook. Here in the Central Florida area, mention Three Beards Podcast, and you're going to save a bunch of money on that cake. 15% off a cake, which is incredible savings. Nancy does amazing jobs on that. So give her a call. Go threebeardspodcast.com. Patreon.com/3beardspodcast. Become a beardo along with everybody. We would love it. And, it would, by doing that, your support the show gives us money to do stuff. I mean, it gives us the ability to help out, even people like Shawn, in the things he does. So by doing that, it'll be great all around. So if you feel like that, hey, become a beardo. We would love you for it. Everybody, thanks again for watching. Next week, we've got a couple of really good shows. We have Maria Wheatley. She's dowsing and geomancy. And then we have a book author, Charlie Robinson, on in the last show, and he's going to be talking. His book covers the names. Apologies, name's failing me right now, but he covers his book. The way he wrote it, it's almost like he was foretelling what's currently happening in the world right now. So that'll be a fantastic interview with that author as well. So everybody tune in for those. Thanks for watching. Appreciate everybody. Good night.